Welcome to the BJU Press Teacher Edition podcast, where Christian educators are encouraged and inspired as we bring you interviews, practical ideas, strategies, and answer your questions about teaching in today's culture. And here's your host, Jenny Copeland.
Welcome back, everyone. You are in for a treat on today's episode here on the Teacher Edition podcast. Okay, so you may remember a few weeks back, I let you know that Teacher Edition was actually going on the road. I was encouraging everyone attending the upcoming Southeast Christian Educators Conference to stop by the booth, subscribe, pick up some swag, and then take a minute to share a quick word of thanks to someone or the someones in your life who inspired you to be an educator. Well, today you get to hear those stories, and boy, are you in for a blessing. We were just overwhelmed by how many people stopped by the booth and told their story. So today you're going to hear those stories. You're going to hear stories that will inspire you. And I'm confident you're going to walk away encouraged as you impact the next generation of Christian men and women, no doubt some of whom will also be teachers. Of course, as we get started, just a reminder, visit our website, teachereditionpodcast.com. There's some great information there about the show and about the different episodes, but it's also a great place to listen to the podcast. So maybe you know someone for one reason or another who doesn't listen to the podcast on an app or a mobile device. They just don't do that kind of thing. Share the website with them. For those of you who are on social media, be sure to stop and check us out on Facebook at Teacher Edition Podcast. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Teacher Edition Pod. For those who are listening to today's podcast, don't forget you can also watch these interviews on YouTube, where we are Teacher Edition Podcast. So as I mentioned already, today's episode are the stories from educators just like you. These are stories of those who impacted their lives and inspired them to become an educator. Ultimately, we know it is the Lord who leads and calls, and it's the Lord who gives the gifts and the talents to every person. So I don't want to ignore, of course, that foundational piece. But we also know that the Lord also providentially brings individuals into each of our lives and uses them. Today's stories are representative of hundreds of thousands, millions of other stories of how God has used people in lives. For me, I could point to several teachers and administrators along the way who just, I would say, really influenced and impacted my life in various ways. But I guess I would have to say that my sixth grade teacher, Miss Maria Moscovis, was the one that really stood out just beyond the rest of them. I was one of those young people who knew from a very young age I wanted to be a Christian educator. My sister and I went to school all day. We played school all evening, of course, and on the weekends. I loved school, and I couldn't wait till one of those classrooms was mine. I couldn't wait to be a teacher one day. But Miss Moscovis was an example of a teacher who was fair. She was steady and predictable. She loved to have fun, of course, but her expectations were always so clear. She was consistent and kind, but she was just so caring to us as individuals. She was a listener and just so gracious. You know, sixth grade can be a tricky year in many ways, but she was just one of those teachers who loved us even in our awkwardness. Most of all, she was an example of a godly teacher. She taught it, but she also lived it. It was just so natural for her to speak of the Lord and just maneuver those odd sixth grade situations, all from a biblical viewpoint. She challenged us to act and to think in a biblical way. She left after our school year, so we were able to go to our wedding, and then she moved back to Greece, where her family was from. I just don't even have any idea where she is today, but my memories of that year are still very clear. Interestingly enough, the Lord allowed me to teach sixth grade years later. I always think that's so interesting. She probably had no idea of the impact she was having on my life. So today, as you listen to these stories, I trust you will see a theme over and over of how educators have allowed themselves to be used by God and served Him faithfully in impacting lives of individuals who are now impacting the lives of the next generation. I hope you will enjoy these stories as much as I have.
Hi, my name is Kwanya Thompson. I am an intervention teacher at Raleigh Christian Academy, of course, in the great city of Raleigh, in North Carolina. The persons that inspired me the most was my mother, who is now a retired teacher down in Miami, Florida. My mother just had a way with children, and she took them in as our very own, our own siblings. It didn't matter where they came from, what kind of lifestyle they had. Not only only her, but as well as her mother, who is a retired teacher, and she has since gone on to glory, my grandmother. But we came from a host of family members, our families over in the Bahamas that came over to Miami, and that's where we lived, and we had the upbringing, and we just knew to love people because God loves us, and we just learned to do whatever we had to do to help any children any type of way. And so I honor my mother on today, Sharon Johnson, and my grandmother, the late Florence Inez McKinney Dean Johnson, down both in Miami, Florida, and so very grateful for this opportunity to salute them and honor the legacy of Johnson and McKinney family members. Take care.
Hi, I'm Kim Hartman. I teach at Scottsdale Christian Academy in Phoenix, Arizona. And I really wanted to become a teacher because I grew up in Hawaii and I got beat up almost every day and treated like that by teachers also. And I never wanted a kid to feel how I felt. And so I wanted to reverse that whole system. And I also had a great 6th grade teacher that inspired me that I'm still friends with today. And now I get to teach 6th and 7th grade at our school.
My name is Jennifer Paul, and I'm a teacher today because of 2 things. 1, family tradition. Oh, my mom, my aunts are all teachers. And 2, I had a great history professor in college by the name of Dr. Jim Bennett at Northland Baptist Bible College, and he just inspired me. I changed majors to go into teaching simply because of his class, and I thought if I could get across to my students just a little bit of what he got across to me, that's what I wanted to do. So he's really the person I think who inspired me the most.
My name is Kelly Pinello. I'm from Victory Christian Academy in Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina. The person that most inspired me to become a teacher would be my grandmother. She taught for 45 years in the LA school district, and she actually retired twice, and they asked her to come back. But she was just such an amazing lady, very influential in my life, and she always taught me just to care about others. She dedicated so much time to her students. I remember before I was in school, she brought me to her classroom a few times when I would visit her in California. I would get to go to school with her a few times when I was younger, and just seeing how she interacted with the students, she loved them, they loved her, and she passed away this last year in February, and she had so many former students that actually sent stuff in, emails, Facebook messages, went to her funeral, and it just shows the dedication and love that she gave to her students and the impact that you can have in the classroom.
Hello, my name's Dr. Dawn Slutz, and I teach at Land O'Lakes Christian School. My story begins with my first week at Bob Jones University. Dr. Fremont met me on the sidewalk. We started talking, and he said, "Promise me you'll be a teacher. Go change your major right now. Promise me you'll be a teacher." Well, here I am, 41 years later, still teaching.
My name is Joanna Foster, and I am the librarian at Bob Jones Academy. I love to read. I love teaching children, giving books to children. I was inspired by my 8th grade teacher, Mary Dobbs. She read Ivanhoe to us every day when we came to class as 8th graders, and I still love listening to audiobooks because of the love that she sparked in 8th grade.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Brinson, and I am a high school math and science teacher at Cornerstone Christian Academy in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Really, I became a teacher because the Lord has a sense of humor. I was actually a business administration, healthcare administration graduate. I was having a hard time finding a job right after COVID. A wonderful administrator and principal at Cornerstone Christian Academy, so the church I go to, Mr. Joseph Wallace, just gave me an opportunity and a shot, and I'm so grateful for that man and how he's poured into me over the years as a mentor. And I'm very, very grateful that I get to teach kids and pour into them every single day.
My name is Monique Smith, and I teach at Victory Christian Academy in Jacksonville, Florida. I have the privilege of being a graduate of that school as well. And a teacher who inspired me was my high school math teacher, Ken Matasevic. He showed me in 9th grade that math could actually be interesting and not boring. Up to that point, I had been an excellent math student, but was always bored in math class. In 9th grade and all the way through my 12th grade pre-calculus, he actually inspired me to work at math and try to master it instead of just learn enough to get the good grade.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Farmer, and I teach at Oakwood Christian School in Anderson, South Carolina. And my mom is the person that inspired me to teach. I graduated from college, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And my mom said that I should try teaching, and so I did. And I'm so grateful because it definitely has been the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And I'm just very appreciative to her seeing my strengths even when I couldn't see them. So thanks, Mom.
Hi, I'm Brian. I teach at Temple Baptist School in Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm a teacher due to the influence of Dr. Walter Fremont, both in class and in personal conversation with him. He convinced me that the ministry of Christian education was an awesome opportunity and a great way to influence lives.
My name's Rebecca Bailey. I currently teach 3rd grade at Friendship Christian School, and here's my story of how I got into teaching. I grew up in a teacher's home. My dad is this year going on 40 years of teaching, and when I was young, I got to watch him in the classroom. I grew up living in the school basically and watching how my dad influenced the lives of other students and seeing that he actually got to lead students to the Lord, making a huge impact in lives. God started working in my heart as a young person, wanting to make that same difference in the lives. And so I'm forever thankful for my father, who has been a solid anchor in my life, teaching hundreds of lives, leading kids to the Lord, and just put that desire that I also wanted to make a difference in the hearts and lives of children.
My name is Phoebe Hustis. I teach at Maranatha Christian School as a Bible and English teacher and the occasional PE. I was a teacher in the public school system for a while and a public charter school. When I was in 11th grade, I knew for sure I was going to be a teacher because of two special people in my life, the Tolls. I went on a mission trip to Chicago and realized that I love teaching kids Bible stories and love teaching kids all sorts of things. And these two people came up to me and told me that I was a faithful teacher, and that stuck with me ever since. And I had so many options, but I knew that after hearing that, that's what God wanted me to be, and I've been doing it for about 10 years now.
I'm Savannah Stevenson from Alamance Christian School in Graham, and I was the most inspired by my kindergarten teacher, and she's the reason that I became a teacher, and now I'm a kindergarten teacher at the very same school. She made kindergarten so fun, and she made learning fun, and I carried the concept of learning being fun throughout my entire school journey, and I wanted other kids to know that learning can be fun, and so now I get to light, hopefully, that same passion in my students as well.
Hey, I'm Haley Clark from Union Grove Christian School in Lexington, North Carolina. What made me want to become a teacher was I had a couple elementary teachers that honestly weren't the best, that didn't go for a hands-on learning approach, which is definitely what I am, and that's the kind of kindergarten teacher I am. I'm very hands-on, very move around the classroom, but actually my high school math teacher, Mr. Clark, ironically has the same last name as me. He was the biggest inspiration for me. Even though we were high schoolers, he would still be silly with us. He would make math fun, and he's just been the biggest inspiration to me. So I love you, Mr. Clark, if you ever see this.
Hi, I'm Jessica, and I teach 1st and 2nd grade at Southeast Christian Academy. I became a teacher really on accident. A friend asked me if I wanted to work at her preschool, and I was a stay-at-home mom about to go back to work, so I said, why not? I ended up having a very special student that year that needed a lot of assistance, and he kind of became my reason for teaching. And after that first year, I went back to college to get my teaching degree so that I could move out of the pre-K up into early elementary.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I teach at Old Swanee Christian School. Back in 2018, my youngest sister was born, and instead of going to college, I ended up taking care of her, and through that, the Lord worked in my heart and inspired me to become a teacher.
My name's Christina, and I work at Union Grove Christian School in Lexington, North Carolina. The reason why I became a teacher was I had a friend who needed an assistant after-school teacher, and she told me that she kept praying about it, and my name kept coming up. So I told her, I'm definitely going to do it. No need to further pray about it. God definitely confirmed that. And I worked with them for 2 years, and then I had a strong desire to become an actual teacher. I kept praying about it, and I opened my devotional one day, and the title said, be a teacher. So I said, okay, I'm going to go back to school, and I'm almost done with my master's degree, and I've been working at Union Grove for 2 years.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I currently work at BJU Press in instructional design, and the person that inspired me to go into Christian education was actually my mom. She was a stay-at-home mom, had a background in science and math, and my Christian school begged her to come and teach when I was in 7th grade. So she was my 7th grade math teacher teacher, and I watched her learn how to manage a classroom and how to create bulletin boards and how to make tests, and she was using BJU Press products at the time. And I think that's what really inspired me to get into Christian education. And what's really fun is my daughter is studying education right now, and if she does what she's planning to do, she will be a third-generation math teacher. So thanks, Mom.
My name is Jessica Hutchison, and I'm a principal at Social Circle Christian School, and that's in Georgia. I grew up in Philadelphia, and I had an amazing K4 and K5 teacher, Mrs. Hunter, and she opened up the world to be able to help me understand how I can understand God's will for me and see what He had for me in my future. And how God brought those paths together is really awesome. Years later, after student teaching at Brushy Creek Elementary in Greenville, South Carolina, I had an administrator tap on my shoulder, Dee Dee Washington. She made a huge impact on my life, and that's why I am an administrator today, because I saw the passion that she had for students and pouring into the next generation. And I'm thankful God gives me the opportunity to do it.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Hanks, and I've been teaching now for 26 years. I'm currently based in Land O'Lakes, Florida at Land O'Lakes Christian School, and I just want to give a shout out and a thanks to my second grade teacher, Mrs. Donna Majors, and she was such a blessing to me, and I will always remember that was one of the first times that I said I wanted to teach, and I wanted to teach second grade. And then she taught me in third grade. I said I wanted to teach in third grade, and of course I kept going up and ended up in secondary school, and I'm very thankful for her starting my educational process.
Hello, my name is Dan, and I'm administrator at Inverness Christian Academy in Inverness, Florida. I also teach for Veritas Baptist College and Maranatha Baptist University. I have taught all these years because the Lord called me when I didn't think I would be called. I was going to be a youth pastor, a music minister, and the Lord changed all that just my second year of marriage. But I want to give a shout out to my favorite teacher, and he knows this, that he's my favorite, Mr. David Keenum. Mr. David Keenum at Dade Christian School in the 1980s was my band director. I played trombone in 6th grade through 12th grade, and Mr. Keenum was an awesome teacher. He taught me everything I know about music today, and because of that I was able to get into orchestra and band at college and play in church today. So I just want to give a quick shout out to my favorite teacher ever, Mr. David Keenum. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lydia Blizzard. I teach first grade at Community Christian School in Bradenton, Florida, and I teach today because of my grandfather. I was homeschooled my entire life, and my grandfather was a pastor. He would come and he would help my siblings and I teach us many things, discipleship and just certain life lessons, and so it's because of him that I teach today. Some of the life lessons he taught us was how to interact with people. He was one thing, anytime he went out anywhere, he would always find a way to turn the conversation to God, and that was something that he always taught us how to do, and I'm very thankful for that.
Hi, I'm Kimberly from Victory Christian Academy in Gastonia. I'm the principal there, and I also teach algebra. I would say probably my most influential teacher over my years would probably be Mr. Schaefer back in my trig class back in high school, who probably inspired me the most as far as teaching algebra, getting into math and trig and all those good things. Gave me a love for the foundation, and I love challenges, and I love teaching it to my kids, and they absolutely hate it when I say let's do a fun problem, because they know it's going to be challenging, but I try to make it as fun like he did as well, to instill in them the love for math and algebra. And as principal, I have many influences on that. Mr. Danny Hull was a very influential minister, principal at our school for years and years, as well as our founder, Dr. Kenneth Peak, who still keeps in contact with me to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And I appreciate all of them for that. Thank you.
My name is Latoya Stringfield. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Raleigh Christian Academy, and this is my story. I was in foster care till I was about 13 years old, and my second grade teacher, Miss Gill, she was the first kind person I met up until that point. My mom passed away when I was 4, and Miss Gill was like a mother to me, although I had a foster mom. Miss Gill was kind, she was caring. You could feel her love, the love, it was like flowing out of her. And I wanted to be like Miss Gill. I wanted to have what she had. I wanted to be loved, and I wanted to be loving to someone like she was to me. And so fast forward to now, 2024, I am so thankful for her life and her influence over my life. And now I get to be to so many other students what Miss Gill was to me when I was in second grade. So I don't know where she is now, but I pray that the Lord blessed her real good. Thank you, Miss Gill.
My name is Katie Bartholomew, and I teach at Jacksonville Christian Academy. God called me to teach in the 4th grade with the help of a very special teacher named Muff Johnson. She put a lot of work into my life, and I wanted to show that to other students. She was the encouragement. She would consistently not give up on me and kept encouraging me to work and to live my life for Christ rather than just go about my day to day. It had a lasting impact to see her dedication and her work in her classroom. Even without a college degree, she chose to go forward and to do what God gave her gift of teaching, and it showed.
Hi, my name is Brittany, and I teach at Grace Christian Academy in Fayetteville, Georgia. And if I had to say that there was one teacher in my life that inspired me to one day, unbeknownst to me, but it was all part of God's plan, to become a teacher, would have been my children's pastor growing up in Pennsylvania. This woman and her husband taught me from when I was 3rd grade all the way up until present day, because she now is my nephew's Christian counselor, and she is someone that has almost become a second mom in my life. She is someone I can trust with almost everything, because what she did is she not only instilled a biblical foundation in my heart with her messages and the way that she instructed us kids about the Bible, but she also developed a personal relationship with each one of us and loved us so tenderheartedly that even when I had a health crisis when I was 13 and I had aged out of her program, she came and was at the hospital with my family almost every day. And because of that, now that I teach kindergarten, I'm with 5-year-olds each and every day. And that is something super special because I get to be a part of their lives in a way that Jesus has asked me to. Just to be that, not a parent, but to be someone that is always for them and supporting them and showing them God's love. So it has been an awesome privilege. I'm only in year 2 because I worked in film before that. But God has done just an amazing thing in my heart and in many students' lives that I've had in front of me so far. And I'm just grateful to see what God does next.
I'm Katie Klipp, and I've taught 1st grade for 20 years at Bob Jones Academy in Greenville, South Carolina. And I always knew I wanted to be a teacher ever since I was little, but what kind of teacher I wanted to be was influenced by some amazing people in my life. My 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Brenda Beefus, was an amazing teacher. She had so much energy, and she wanted us to realize how exciting learning was. And I know she had some tough stuff going on in her life during that year, but she pushed right through it, and she taught us that we could still shine and we could still be amazing at what we do even when hard things are going on. And she encouraged me to be a great elementary teacher. And I had an amazing high school science and math teacher at our Christian school up in Wisconsin. His name was Donald Cherwin, and he showed me how to bring the Bible into things like math and science that would normally just be math and science, right? And I'll never forget how one morning when our school was surprised by finding out that one of our teachers had passed away that morning, and we all came into school not knowing what had just happened or how to respond. And I remember him putting aside his math curriculum and his science teacher's editions, and we talked about it together. And I still remember where I was sitting in that classroom, and I remember thinking, if this is the power of what a teacher can do, this is what I want to do with my life. Because he brought the Lord into that classroom that morning and showed how God's plan was always best, even for something as surprising as losing one of our teachers that morning. And I'll never forget that. And Mr. Sherwin, I'm so thankful for the way you invested in our lives, not just in math and science, but in bringing God's word into our lives in every way that you could in the classrooms.
And my name's Scott, and I teach at Grace Christian School in West Columbia, South Carolina. And I'm telling my story about how I was burdened to become a teacher. I was a student of a Christian school. I'm thankful for that. I did not grow up in school wanting to be a teacher. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. But much later in life, in my later 20s, I'm reading through probably one of my old history Christian school textbooks and just sitting at home and began to feel burdened to go into education, not necessarily for history, but eventually I began reading some creationist books and creation and evolution books and thought I could share some of that information. Originally thinking maybe science, but then God led me to mathematics. So I'm a math teacher. That's a little bit of my story on how I came to be an educator.
Hi, my name is Mark Cronemeyer. I'm head of school at Killian Hill Christian School, but I've been involved in Christian education for a number of years. I will say I didn't even think about Christian education until after college, but it was obviously what God had for me. Individuals that really, and I feel like what I do now as head of school and the years that I taught, almost give back not only to the Lord, but also to them, are individuals that made such a difference in my life. So a couple of individuals. One, Dr. Fremont, Dr. Walt Fremont has passed away, but he's a huge influence in my life. When I started the first year I taught, he sent me a whole bunch of information, just this is what you need to do. You can do this, Mark, and really was encouraging to me. A number of teachers that I had in high school, I went to Bob Jones Academy, so I enjoyed being there as a boarding student. Everyone from Raul McIndoller, who used to have us down at his apartment, and the saying there, I think, is more is taught than caught, and so that idea there that easily turned around. Miss Rachel Larson, who became Dr. Larson, huge influence in my life. Mr. Pinkston, who I think was the writer of the biology book, great influence in my life. Miss Markham, not too many people who were in the academy didn't have her. Miss McCown, Miss McGregor, so many of those individuals. And I remember the one common theme with all of these individuals, and at the time I didn't know I was going to be a teacher or an instructor or involved in Christian education, they would say this: you know, Mark has so much potential. And so I'm grateful that they believed in me, they encouraged me, and for their influence to eventually lead me into a career. Now we're 30 years in Christian education.
Hi, this is Michaela Haycox. I teach first grade at Bob Jones Academy. I just wanted to share my fifth grade teacher, Mrs. Alice Spencer, really inspired me to become a teacher and to love inspiring my students to learn as well. She really showed us her love for us and a passion for learning and going outside the box, doing creativity where we applied what we were learning, and I just love keeping up with her. She's become a mentor in my life, and I hope to do that for my students as well someday.
All right, my name's Heather and I work at Tremont Christian Academy. A teacher who inspired me was my high school science teacher. She was just amazing. She reached out during one of the hardest times of my life and just always encouraged me.
My name is Courtney Leverett. I work at Sumter Christian School in Sumter, South Carolina. The reason I am a teacher today is because of Laura Mahoney and Margaret Barron. They were the sole reason that I got through middle and high school. They took their time. They taught me a lot of life lessons, and I'm very thankful that they were my teachers through my whole high school year.
Hi, I'm Shelley, and I just wanted to share why I became a teacher. I had a teacher in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade that I absolutely loved. She just made learning fun and interesting and easy to learn, and I just carried that with me and became a teacher in the same age group, quite honestly. So I love being a teacher for many years.
Hi, I'm Seth. I teach at South Point Christian School, and my story is that I, after college, found myself applying for jobs. Unexpectedly found myself in education, but I'm really grateful for that because of my parents. Both of them are teachers, my aunt as well, and so many of my college professors and people that I've met over the years have just been so helpful, and so I'm really appreciative of that.
I'm Stephanie Bruss from Hilltop Christian School. My 4th grade music teacher, Mrs. Popson, encouraged me to go into teaching. She was amazing. She made everything exciting and fun, and we loved learning from her.
Hi, my name is Janelle, and I teach 4th grade at Bob Jones Academy. I come from a long family of educators, but it was my 2nd grade teacher, Miss Joy Sugar, who inspired me to want to be just like her. I spent every day after school and as early as Mom would take me in the morning, helping her in the classroom, and knew from that point forward that I always wanted to be a teacher just like Joy.
Okay, hi, I'm Carol Riddle, and I live in Kinston, North Carolina. I teach at Bethel Christian Academy, and I've been there for 11 years. But the teacher that influenced me the most was Miss Diane Gardner, and she was a teacher at Pamlico County High School in Bayboro, North Carolina. And her whole class dynamic made me enjoy biology and advanced biology. So she's one of the main reasons I love science, and I love weird stuff anyway, but she made it fun and she made it engaging. So thank you, Miss Diane. I appreciate you pushing me and letting me do what you thought I needed to do.
My name is Shelly Dixon, and I am a middle school and high school teacher at Mount Calvary Christian Academy, and I wanted to become a teacher. I felt God's calling on my life because of my mom, seeing her passion for teaching and how she loved her students and just invested in their lives each and every day, even from a little girl. It was something that I always wanted to do, was to be just like her.
Such a blessing. This has definitely been an episode that you're going to want to go back to and listen over and over. And be sure to share these with your colleagues. By the way, maybe you weren't at that conference, but you would love to share your story and tell who God used in your life. Feel free to use our website to go leave a story for us to share on future episodes. Just go to our website where you can leave a question to be shared on the show and click to record your story instead. We'll get those recordings and we'll continue to share them in upcoming episodes as a means of encouragement, both to those who impacted lives, but also to all of us who are now serving in the trenches of Christian education. I hope you'll take advantage of that offer. Go do it. Let's keep these encouraging stories coming. But for now, it's time to sign off and get back to your day. But as we say each time, it's not just any day, because every day in the classroom is your day to impact and inspire through God's power and through His grace working in you. Now go do what God has called you to do.